Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We've got an interesting one here. Randall Fryer, who hails from Nashville and lives in Nashville, made a gift to the channel for me to do Sonny, Osborne, and Charlie Louvin swapping Ira Louvin stories. Got no clue what we're getting into here, but I love these story things. And so Randall, thank you for the gift and the request. And Randall said, this is one of the best examples I found about the early days of country music and the lives the artists lived just to be on stage. It was not about electronics and auto-tune, but about the music. Let's see, you got this from the Bluegrass channel, and I'm going to put the link to the Bluegrass channel in the description box so you can check out what they've got, because we do, as you know, we do non-pop country here, and I include bluegrass in that. So let's see what these stories are all about.
I'm sure y'all were close. I've got a Louvin Brothers story. I've got a Louvin. In 1957, they decided to go to Wheeling to work for a while. And we were working at WWVA at the Barn Dance in Wheeling. Well, in 1957, we had a song called Once More that was doing pretty well in the charts. That's, I mean, it did pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Hello? Oh, yeah, it was before Acuff did it, yeah. And I think he got to number 11 or something like that, and we didn't know what to do. You know, we just stand around looking at it. Boy, look at that. Now I'd be sinking $100,000 into it, you know. But of course, $100 would have been more likely at that time. Anyway, the Louvin brothers became disenchanted with WWVA and the Barn Dance. Yeah. And so Once More was out and doing pretty well. Well, they liked Once More a lot, and they liked us, and we liked them a lot. So we just kind of was inseparable there for a while. Well, we lived in Dayton, Ohio, and we got through with the Jamboree, and there was a DJ show on afterward, and a guy named Johnny Western was a disc jockey there. Yeah. Johnny Western. And so the Louvin brothers just so happened to be his guest on this particular night. This was their last night there, and I found out later Johnny Western was leaving also. So when we left in the car, we turned it on, and they played Once More. And I thought, that's nice. You know, I appreciate that. And there was a group there called Abby Neal and the Ranch Girls, and Doc Williams was up there, and more people too, and I don't remember their names right now. Big Slim was there. And Ira would say, and this was like every record now, he'd say, here's a song by Doc Williams and the Border Riders, and it's called My Little Home in West Virginia. They played Once More again. Son, they did this for 214 miles. Every record was Once More. Nothing else played that night other than Once More. That's all they did. And they would say, here's whomever to sing.
They had a lot of requests for Johnny Cash's, I think, as I walked the line. And Johnny would say, thank you for the request, and here's your song.
Here's your song. I'll walk the line. He'd play Once More again. They played it. I'm telling you, they played it for 200. From the time we left till we got to Dayton, they were still playing Once More. And it was like 5:30 in the morning. They'd played it from midnight on. Every song was Once More. And I wanted to tell you, Charlie, that you guys really helped that record a lot, and I appreciate it.
Well, I hope that we made more people love it than we made people that hated us for it. Because they'd call back and they would cuss Johnny. Johnny would say, we are playing your request. You must have your radio tuned to the wrong radio station. So we get the people to hunt in the radio station. But we done their request, but we never played their song.
I'm telling you, this went on all night long. We were embarrassed. I thought, man, we're all going to be kicked out of here. I mean, this is going to be bad, but nobody ever said anything about it. And I just, they left. Well, and Johnny Western took off, so that was the end of it.
For a long time, nobody had heard the harmonies like the Osbornes have.
That's right.
And it was worth exposing. Now, we knew that this hammerhead up there couldn't fire us because we was gone that night anyway. I'm sorry that Johnny had to leave town because of us. But
is that the reason y'all just finally getting into the Hall of Fame?
As far as I'm concerned, they've been in the Hall of Fame for a long time, brother.
We joined the WW. We worked DVA in Danville, too.
Yeah, WWVA.
But we joined that, but we only lasted 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, you didn't stay long.
Nothing happened.
Can I tell why?
Like
one of the main reasons? One night, Ira Louvin was one of the most talented human beings I've ever known in my whole lifetime.
But he had a short fuse.
He had a short fuse, very, very short fuse.
All of us know that.
And we all know that, yep. And so Ira would read a poem, I guess, that he had written, and it would lead into a song that they would sing for all the sick and shut-ins, all the mothers who have sons that's not home tonight, and on and on and on. And then they'd sing this beautiful gospel song. Well, Ace Richmond, oh man, this is in my memory, and when I'm gone, I'll still be remembering this. Ace Richmond, they were sitting backstage on a little bench back there, and Ace said, well, Ira, that was a beautiful speech you gave out there. And he said, it's too bad nobody heard it. And Ira said, what? And he said, it's too bad nobody heard it because there's a football game on WWVA right now. And son, you could see Ira's face turn every color in the rainbow. And I mean, he stood up and took his mandolin. I mean, wham! He fell across the thing, and he just started prancing in front of Charlie. I guess had seen the act before, and Charlie was just kind of sitting like that and watching him. And, of course, I'm not going to tell you exactly what Ira was saying, but the gist of it was, what we need to do, Charles, is get us a football and go out there on the stage and kick that from one end of that stage to the other. And I'll kick it and you catch it. And then I'll kick it and you catch it. And you kick, and he just kept on and raving. And Charlie would sit there and he'd say, now, all right. And then a week later is when the Once More episode happened. But I loved it.
The first week we were there, we sang a gospel song, and Crazy Elmer came across the stage in the front of us with a broom, sweeping the stage.
Yeah.
And Ari threw the mandolin at him, too. But he had lots of mandolins. I mean, he did.
He had lots of mandolins.
Well, I mean, you know, Ari didn't feel like we was putting the kind of stuff out that needed sweeping off of the stage, and it really got to him. You know, he told Elmer he'd break his neck if he ever even came on the stage.
Yes, sir.
When we was on again.
Boy, Ira Louvin was such a genius. He had a mandolin that was broken, and I won't say how this one was broken, but this mandolin was busted real bad, like Bill Monroe's mandolin was at one point. And he picked up every splinter of that, every little piece of that mandolin, every little splinter he could find, and put it back together again. And I'll swear to you, you couldn't tell where the mandolin had been broken. I mean, it was just demoralized.
I don't want to stretch this conversation too long and cheat the Osbornes out of their song, but Jimmy Dickens sitting right close by me, and he was one of the recipients of one of the Bartlesville, Oklahoma. It was on, I think it was on New Year's Eve, and we were supposed to do a show and then sing for the dance. Well, we got out there, and I think we did 2 songs. Irish mandolin got out of tune, and he threw it back, stomped it. He left the stage, and me and
Do you notice
Jimmy
how quick
Caps,
you said threw it back, stomped
and me and Jimmy Caps was going to have to finish this part of the show. Jim's sitting back here. I'll figure him in on this. But anyway, when it was over, Ari was back in the dressing room, and the Dickens was back there. And Dickens picked up the mandolin and propped it on one of these steam heaters and propped it up, and he told Iris, if you'll stomp it right here, I believe you can break that neck. That's the only... But that is the only part of the mandolin he hadn't broken yet.
He came in the dressing room and threw it across the room.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I didn't think anything more of an instrument than that, I'd stomp it. And I picked it up and set it against that register. And I said, I think if you tried real hard, you could break the neck out of it. And he did.
He did?
But in that same conversation, Ira was really teed off, and he said, just give me my money, I'm going home. And this is like, 5 days into a 3-week tour.
Yeah.
I said, you ain't going to get a penny until the tour's over. And Dickens slapped his hip, jerked out his wallet, and he said, I'll give you the money. How much would it cost you to fly home?
And then he said,
Jim said, I know a boy that you can hire.
I said, Charlie, don't worry about it.
He said,
because you can get Roger Miller for $25 a day.
Anyway, he talked Ira out of leaving the tour right there. Dickens is one of the best reverse psychology people in the world, you know. I think on the way to the motel that night, Ira was still mad at Dickens and drew his little pistol on him. He had a little 5-shot 22 with a barrel about 1 inch long, same one he got shot with. Jimmy just reached over and took the little pistol out of his hand and opened it and poured the shells out the window and handed the gun back to Ira, and he told him where he would put it where the sun didn't shine if he ever drew it on him again. But that was on that same trip coming back. I'll tell this in defense of Jim Capps. We're coming back, and Ira and I had a lot of troubles, and he was a little too tall and a little too slow. He never could win a fight. And but we was coming back in the car, and he's riding in the back seat as usual, and me and Capps are sitting up front, and he raised up in the back seat and said, "Stop, pull the car over, stop." And I said, "Well, we're out in the middle of the boonies. You will need to use a restroom or what?" He said, "No, just pull over." And I believe Jim asked him what he wanted. He said, "I have figured out a way to whip your butt." Talking to me. Jimmy started laughing, and then I started laughing, and finally I thought it was funny, and he started laughing. We never did stop the car. So I never did find out what he had figured out.
That's classic. That was on Bill Anderson's show, of course, but that's where the collection came together. But I love it when they tell these stories. But Ira just sounded like he was mad all the time. He kept breaking mandolins and threw it at the guy who came out sweeping, who shouldn't have been out there sweeping. I don't even know why. How do you go in the middle of a show sweeping? But even the story about the DJ playing the song over and over and over again by different artists. And even somebody calling for Johnny Cash's like "I Walk the Line," and then they would play that other song. This is the kind of mischief I love in life. I mean, I don't know about the anger stuff and pulling a gun, and Ira got shot by his own gun, it sounded like. It just sounds like everybody had stories about Ira. Yeah, so Randall, did you ever meet him? Did you ever see him in concert? Maybe you did, because I know you're down there where a lot of those performances would have taken place. So, and I've been to Wheeling, West Virginia. I remember I was driving out to Indianapolis one time, and the way I would go from Jersey out there would drop me down through Pensy, and I didn't realize the finger of West Virginia shot up into Pennsylvania. It was my first time in West Virginia. And driving through, and then you see signs for Wheeling. And I'm like, I've heard of Wheeling. And John Denver's singing about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet this is a beautiful little town. So I interrupted my little trip. You only had to peel off. I forget what it was. I don't think it was the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I don't know. Maybe it was 76 or Route 76 or something like that. But anyway, went into Wheeling, and I was expecting this beautiful town, and it wasn't. I mean, it was at one point because it was a riverside town, and I think they had shipping that went through there because it's right on a river. But it wasn't that way. It was kind of like I drove through it, and I'm like, there's nothing here. And then I started getting in my business brain. I started thinking, oh, man, I should put together a group of investors and maybe resurrect this place. But I'm sure that had been thought of before and didn't work. But in any case, you just hear all these stories that these guys go through, and it's a lot of fun. I'm not going to rate that one. I'm just going to leave that one be. Gosh, do I? I'm going to put that in the documentary series playlist. And why not? Right? It just gives a lot of information about the past. Even though it's not a formal documentary, I could call it like the documentary, etc. playlist. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to put it in there. So, Randall, thank you for that, my friend. All right, guys. Have a great day. See you on another video and keep rocking the country.
And Dickens picked up the mandolin and propped it on one of these steam heaters and propped it up, and he told Iris, if you'll stomp it right here, I believe you can break that neck.